Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. And the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful. And a little lonely.
People today go more, take their pleasures with them. This is the lively life, the life for Pepsi-Cola. Light, bracing, clean-tasting Pepsi. So think young. Say, Pepsi, please. Take Pepsi wherever you go.
So go ahead and fix a drink that lets you drink young as you think. Yes, get the right one, the modern light one. Now it's Pepsi for those who think young.
Well, now, Marshal, you come ask what I want for supper? Huh? Or did you just come to see am I comfortable in your jailhouse?
Come on out.
Where are you taking me?
I'm letting you go. Come on out.
You letting me go? After all them things you said I'd done? Well, Marshal, that's one on you.
Come on. Get out of there.
Oh, sure, Marshal. I'll go, all right. I told you all along you weren't going to hold me. You remember I said that? You remember, Marshal?
I remember.
Well, maybe next time you ain't going to be so quick to haul a man.
You listen to me, Bernie. I'll haul you in every chance I get, and the quicker it is, the better I'm going to like it.
You just have to let me go.
Don't count on it. If I catch you hanging around Dodge, I'll arrest you for disturbing the peace, and that's a charge I can make stick by myself.
Well, you can't do that.
You just try me. Now, go on, get out of Dodge while you still can.
There, what'll it be, Marshal?
I have a beer, Sam.
Okay, Marshal. There you go.
Thanks.
Oh, hello, Matt. I didn't see you come in.
Yeah, you look mighty interested in that poker game over there.
Oh, yeah. I always get nervous when the stakes get that big. Everybody paid off, though. No trouble. This time, anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
You want to sit down? You haven't been in here for stuff.
No, thanks, Kitty. I haven't got time right now.
Well, I guess I'll have to be grateful for small favors.
Huh? How's that?
That I catch a glimpse of you at all.
Oh, now, Kitty.
Here comes Doc.
Oh, yeah. I'll be here, Doc.
I see you. You don't suppose I could miss the sight of your big frame cozying up to that bar? Hello, Kitty.
Hello, Doc. Have a drink?
Yes, I don't mind for...
A beer for the Doc, Sam.
Sure, Miss Kitty.
Oh, there's nothing like beer to wash the prairie dust down a man's throat.
Are you just off the road, Doc?
9 miles out, 9 miles back. There's a new baby at the Lurie place.
Here you are, Doc.
Oh, thank you.
How's Molly, Doc?
Oh, she came through fine. She doesn't really need me at all. She knows more about it than I do by now.
How many does this make it?
7. And I suppose I'll be going out there again this time next year.
You ought to give him a bargain rate.
No, not for that trip. Oh, say, on the way, I passed Art Burney, riding hard for his old man's place.
Yeah.
I thought you had him locked up.
Well, I did, Doc. I still ought to have him locked up.
What happened?
I got a wire from Abilene saying to release him. They've arrested another man for the murder. They're bringing him here.
Well, then Art has a right to go free, doesn't he?
That's what they tell me.
You still think he's guilty, man?
I'll say this. I sure don't think he's innocent.
Oh, you had to let him go?
Yeah. For now, I had to let him go.
Pa? Pa? Me, Pa.
Quit your bellering. Come in the house.
Sure, Pa. I told that big marshal he weren't never going to hold me.
He let you free, did he?
He sure did, Pa. He sure did. I know he would. Ain't no jailhouse going to hold Art Bernie, Pa. You know that.
You feel proud.
Well, sure, Pa. Figured make you prideful, too. Me riding away laughing at that marshal.
You know why they let you go?
They just couldn't hold me at all, Pa. I'm too smart for them.
They let you go because they arrested your brother, Junius.
If what?
They took in Junius over to Abilene
For that same shooting?
for that same shooting.
Well, ain't no sense in that. Old June wasn't no nearer than 10 miles to the hold-up that night.
I figured you'd know that for sure.
Well, Yeah, I know it, Pa. But they can't hold old June. Who told you they went and locked him up? Maybe there's some mistake.
There's no mistake. Old Brackett come by. He was in the telegraph office in Dodge when the wire come in. They got Junius. So they let you go free.
Well, that ain't right, Pa. It just ain't right. Old June didn't have nothing to do with it. He can't even shoot straight.
Then you better fix things, Ark.
Oh, sure, Pa. I'll fix things.
You better fix things so nothing happens to your brother, Junius.
Well, ain't nothing going to happen to old June, Pa. I'll see to that for certain.
It ain't fit that a man pays for what he never done.
That's the truth, Pa.
And it ain't fit neither that a man lets another man do the paying.
Well, I'll get him, Pa. I'll get him. You know I always took care of old June.
You bring him home.
Well, sure, Pa. I'll bring him home.
You can't explain away the unique qualities of the CBS Radio Network's in-person program with the word entertainment. True, there are highly entertaining facets to the program. But calling in-person entertainment is like describing the Empire State Building as an office building. Fact is, Monday through Friday evenings, CBS Radio airs on in-person intimate word portraits, sketched by artists with highest authority on the subjects they discuss. These artists have ranged from chorus girls to former delinquents, outraged citizens to winners of windfalls, people brushed by comedy or tragedy. In Person brings you real stories that have overtaken real people in all walks of life, told by the people involved. It's more than entertainment, more than news. It's In Person, a program far easier to hear and enjoy than describe. Each weekday evening, In Person offers novelty and high human interest, sometimes tears. Listen for it here.
A breakfast sure tastes better when you don't cook it, Mr. Dillon.
I like 'em better cooked myself.
Oh, well, now, of course, they ought to be cooked. But I claim it's better when somebody else cooks it but me.
Yeah.
See, Mr. Dillon, what I mean is, I don't think that anybody...
All right, Chester. Never mind. You might as well go down and pick up the mail, huh?
Yes, sir, I'll do it.
I'll be in my office.
All right, sir, I'll bring it right there.
Marshal?
Who's there?
Me, Marshal. Art Bernie.
I told you to stay out of Dodge, didn't I?
Oh, I come to see about my brother, Junius.
What about him?
You know what about him right now. He's been took in for that shooting. You got him in that jailhouse.
Not yet, I haven't. He's due in a couple of days.
Well, now, you listen to here, Marshal. Ain't no sense to holding old June. Ain't no sense at all.
How do you figure that?
Well, you're holding him for that killing, ain't you?
That's right.
Well, old June never killed nobody in his life. He wouldn't even know how.
The sheriff in Abilene thinks he did.
Well, I know different. Old June, he went within 10 miles of that holdup that night.
You pretty sure of that, are you?
I know that for a fact.
You tell it to the judge.
How's that?
Your brother will be standing trial in Hayes City next week. All you have to do is tell the court what you know.
No, I ain't fool enough to walk into no court.
And it's up to you.
You listen, Marshal. It just ain't right. You just can't hold old June.
We'll hold him, all right. Unless we got somebody else for the killing. You remember that. And if you have anything more to say, I'll be in my office.
Well, I'll be back, Marshal. I'll be back.
Mr. Dillon! Mr. Dillon!
Huh? Yeah, Chester.
Mr. Dillon, there's this telegraph just come in.
Oh, thanks.
Will I go get the horses?
What?
Well, Mr. Dillon, if we're going to take the prisoner off the stage at that relay station, we got to hurry.
You should take more time reading my telegrams, Chester.
Well, I just happened to see it, Mr.
Well,
Dillon.
you didn't see it right. It's tomorrow we meet the stage. We'll leave in the morning.
Sure must be in a hurry to get this fellow, Mr. Dillon. Having us take him off the stage way out here.
That's because of the judge. He has to get to learn it. They're pushing the trial up, Chester.
That's all right with me. Well, most prisoners ain't in such a hurry as you.
Well, if you ain't done nothing, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Ain't that so, Marshal?
Yeah, if you can prove it to the judge.
He'll believe me, Marshal. A man like a judge with all his learning is bound to believe me. I ain't never been one to lie much.
The judge has to believe the evidence. They tracked your horse, Junius.
That don't say I was riding him.
You better find out who was riding him, then.
Well, I won't have to find him. He'll come if I need him. He'll come.
You'll need him.
Mr. Dillon, look yonder. From the dust it's raising, somebody sure is riding at us in a hurry.
Yeah. Let's wait and see who it is.
You ain't supposed to be taking him yet.
Hello, Ark.
You said he'd be in Dodge for a spell.
They moved the trial up.
Well, he ain't going to stand no trial.
I told you, Marshal.
I told him, Junius, how he could fix it.
Ain't nobody going to go to no court. You let my brother Junius go, Marshal. Let him go right now. Marshal, I'm warning you.
And I'm warning you, Ark, don't you draw on me ever unless you mean it.
Well, I mean it about freeing June.
All right, Ark, draw. Well, go ahead, draw.
That's all right, Ark. No need for shooting. You come along to the trial. You can tell the judge. I'll wait, Ark. I can wait.
Don't worry, June. Don't you worry about a thing.
I guess Ark wants to tell Pa about it first.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he does.
The present estimated teacher shortage across the nation is 135,000. That's how many teachers' jobs await right now, with every reason to believe the number is on the rise. This poses an important question for high school students and college undergraduates. Tomorrow's citizens will be forced to cope with this problem if it is not solved in the near future. Tomorrow's citizens can best contribute to the solution by embracing teaching careers. It's as simple as that. More teachers graduating from our colleges are literally the only way this critical shortage can be eliminated. During the month of April, observed for the fourth year as Teaching Career Month, educators join in urging more students to look into teaching. Added to the personal rewards in teaching, there is an important intangible, the importance of being needed. Consider seriously your increasing value to your community as you become a teacher, school administrator, or professor, serving your nation's needs as you grow in ability and stature.
Sure didn't take long, did it, Mr. Dillon?
No, Chester didn't.
Ain't much time at all for a man to have his life ruled away from him.
Yeah.
Just don't seem right, even with all that about the horse and the money bag being found near him and all such as that. I kept thinking somebody'd come up with the real story.
Yeah, Junius thought so, too.
Mr. Dillon, if he knows who done it, why don't he speak up?
I don't know, Chester. Maybe he doesn't know for sure. Maybe he won't speak up against his brother. I don't know.
You think Art did it all right, don't you?
Yeah. But I can't prove anything. Any more than Junius.
Marshal?
Come on out, Art.
Is it over?
Yeah, it's over. He was found guilty.
They can't do nothing like that to old June, Marshal.
They've done it, Ark, and they're going to hang him. Unless he talks. Or you do.
June won't never talk.
You sure?
Oh, sure, I'm sure. My brother ain't.
Yeah. I wondered about something.
What?
Are you his brother? Come on, Chester, let's get away from here.
Hello, Matt. Is it all over?
Yeah, it's all over. Ugly business.
Well, a hanging isn't supposed to be pleasant.
I couldn't do a thing, Doc. I'm sure he was innocent, and I couldn't do a thing.
He never talked?
No, not once. It was as though he was proving how he could be brave. And he was.
He's probably trying to prove he could be as brave as that bombastic brother of his. He'd probably been waiting for this chance all his life.
Well, he got it.
And, of course, if you're right about things, his brother's really a coward.
Yeah, Doc, if I'm right, he's a coward.
Don't ask me, Paul. Don't ask no questions.
You left your brother. Your brother's dead.
Yes, I left him. He's dead. Couldn't rightly help it.
You could help it.
No, Paul, I tried. Rode to Dodge, I rode to Hayes City. I talked myself blue with that marshal.
But you never talked straight.
Well, I told him Junius never done it.
Did you tell him how you knowed for sure he never done it?
Paul.
Did you speak up in court where it counted?
Listen, Paul, no way I could have done that unless...
Unless what?
You know, Paul.
You tell me, Ark.
Unless they'd have hung me instead.
I figured. I had to hear it from you, but I figured. Now, you hear me, Ark? You hear me good? We Bernies ain't never been much, but we stood for our home.
Listen, Paul.
I ain't your pa, not no more. Ain't no son of mine who won't stand up for his brother.
I tried. I just couldn't do it.
You keep the horse. You get right on him, you ride on out. Don't you never come back.
Paul.
Go on now. Don't you never come to my door again.
But it's the home place. I'm your son.
I ain't got no son. Chester. If you insist, insist on whistling, would you mind doing it outside?
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon. I just thought it might kind of cheer you up, son.
Mm-hmm.
My land, you've been cross as a bear lately. Even Miss Kitty says so. I figured this might help.
Well, it doesn't, Chester.
Yes, sir.
Marshal?
Oh, I'm tired of seeing you, Art. Bernie, I told you I'd lock you up if you hung around Dodge.
You won't have to, Marshal.
No? Well, you just watch me.
Now, wait a minute. Wait. Marshal, I've been wrong a lot, ain't I?
Enough.
I was wrong about my brother, wasn't I? They hung him.
Yeah.
But you know he never done that, Marshal.
You were the only one who could prove it.
Yeah, I was. I'm the one should have paid for it, too.
Is this a confession?
You won't need no confession. You remember when I wouldn't draw on you that time on the road, Marshal?
I remember.
When you faced me right down, I turned tail and I run?
That's right, I remember.
I ain't never running no more, Marshal. I'm paying up. I'm drawing on you now, Marshal.
His gun!
Marshal, tell my pa that I tried to square it. You tell him
He's dead.
Yeah. Hand me his gun, Chester.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dillon, I could have swore he had you outbrew.
Yeah, Chester, he did. The gun's empty.
Well, it ain't like Art to make a mistake like that.
He didn't make a mistake, Chester. He was trying to make up for one. He was paying up the only way he knew how.
Everybody likes good news. Since this is true, wouldn't expanded CBS News broadcasts find greater favor with the vast CBS radio listening audience if they simply omitted bad news? There's a pretty obvious answer to that one, and it goes like this. Of course not. Expanded CBS News has only one object, to present all the important global news swiftly and without bias. This takes more than just good intentions. It takes thousands upon thousands of miles of complex communications links, hundreds of skilled newsmen. There's that matter of experience, too, the kind of experience only years can create. For longer, stronger coverage of world happenings, it's expanded CBS News on CBS Radio. You can depend on it. Gunsmoke. Produced and directed in Hollywood by Norman Macdonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. The story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Marion Clark, with editorial supervision by John Meston. Featured in the cast were Lawrence Dobkin, Penn Lynch, and Vic Perrin. Harley Bear is Chester, Howard McNear is Doc, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. This is George Walsh inviting you to join us again next week, when CBS Radio presents another story on Gunsmoke. Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, the story of the violence that moved west with young America, and the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful and a little lonely.
That's all right. I like it. Here, bartender, set out another bottle of that rifle. Now, Mr. Thatcher, just you tell us once more about this here stud colt you got.
He's a good colt, Mr. Butler.
Oh, he's a running colt, you tell me.
He can run some.
Yeah. About the fastest thing in these parts here.
Now you're making fun of me, Mr. Butler.
Well, I don't know why you'd think that. Out here, we're all interested in good horse flesh, especially if it's some sort of a fancy new breed. Quarter horse, you call it?
Excuse me, my grandson's waiting for me.
I understand these horses you raise have rumps so high they look like they're going downhill.
Oh, now, Hank, it ain't polite to call his colt that way. Of course, his withers do run right into his crew.
Now, look here, you ain't got no call to talk to me.
Look, boys, I do believe we got Mr. Thatcher upset. Here, let me pour you another drink.
No, thanks. I'll be going.
That just ain't sociable. Here. Have a drink.
I said no, Mr. Butler.
Drink it. I'll pour a whole stinking bottle down your throat.
All right, Butler, that's enough.
Marshal Dillon.
Mr. Thatcher, your grandson's waiting outside in the buckboard. You better get along home.
Thank you, Marshal. Thank you very much.
Oh, you missed the fun, Marshal. We're just having old Thatcher on about his stock.
You know, Butler, when you torment an old man, it makes you cheap. Real cheap. From now on, you leave him alone. Chester, would you run these papers over to Mr. Hightower?
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon. Another wanted circular on Johnny Ringo.
Mr. Hightower's waiting for him, Chester.
Yeah, but Johnny Ringo's way out in Arizona. He don't never come back this way.
Chester.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, Mr. Dillon. I'll take him right over. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Thatcher.
That's all right, Chester. Marshal Dillon.
Morning, Mr. Thatcher.
Marshal, I want to ask a favor of you.
Well, sure. Come on in. Mr. Hightower's waiting, Chester.
Oh, yes, sir.
Sit down, Mr. Thatcher.
I want to thank you for what you did last night over at the Long Branch.
Butler and his crowd just had a little bit too much to drink, that's all.
I guess I did, too.
Maybe you shouldn't go to the Long Branch. Seems like every time you do, Butler takes his pleasure in riding you.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh?
Well, Ed Butler's always saying he's got the best horses around Dodge or anywhere else.
Well, maybe he does.
Well, mine are better.
Well, I don't know anything about your stock.
Marshal Dillon, Ed Butler's having breakfast right down the street at the Dodge House, and I want you to walk down there with me.
Look, Mr. Thatcher, I don't want to get mixed up in any personal problems between you and Ed Butler.
And I've got something here. I want you to take it.
No?
Here, the deed to my ranch.
Well, why are you giving it to me?
Because I'm going to challenge Ed Butler to a grudge race. My quarter horse colt against the best horse he's got.
You mean you're putting up your ranch on this race?
Yes, sir. And I want you to hold the stakes.
Look, Mr. Thatcher, it's no business of mine, but you could lose, you know.
No, sir. I don't figure I can.
You mean you're putting everything you got on the race? What's so special about your colt?
He's a little special in most every way, Marshal. His daddy was Cold Dick, and his mother was the best mare in Missouri. Oh, I know why Butler and others laugh at him. His head is small, and he carries it low. He's built close to the ground, and his muscles bulge, and his legs are short. But I'll tell you one thing. He's just gone 4. And as he stands now, he's the most horse west of St. Louis. There's some like him in Texas now, too. And if I have my say, One day, Quarter Horser will be all over the West. I believe in this Quarter Colt. He's sleepy and he's quiet. But he can unwind like lightning.
You got a feel for these horses, haven't you, Mr. Thatcher?
Will you walk with me down to the Dodge House?
Yeah. Sure, I'll walk with you.
The hundreds of highway deaths and thousands of highway injuries can be avoided, provided that every single motorist does his bit. That bit means driving safely and sanely at all times. There's positively no excuse for excess speed. By observing all speed limits, you'll get to your destination almost as soon, whereas if you speed, you may never get there. Just as important is the necessity of paying strict attention to traffic signs and those white lines on the highway. They were put there for your protection. Never pass unless you're absolutely certain it's safe, that the road is clear ahead. Never pull out of line, slow up, stop, or turn without first looking in your mirror, then signaling clearly, well ahead. And don't be afraid to give the other fellow the right of way. If you let him go, you won't crash into him. At all times, drive with caution and courtesy. You'll live longer.
Well, Butler, that's it.
Well, sure, I'll race.
And this afternoon, then, across the river.
That's good enough for me.
Make it 2 o'clock. I'll have Doc Adams there to look over the horses. They'll both be sound. There'll be no race. Agreed?
Why, sure.
All right with me.
And they run the way they are, shod or barefoot.
The way they are.
Mr. Thatcher wants a distance of 400 yards.
400 yards?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't hardly worth running. But the bet stands.
Well, since you accept the match, Mr. Butler, you better come to some agreement with Mr. Thatcher.
All right. What you figure your ranch with everything on it is worth, Thatcher?
Maybe $4,000.
Oh, that's high for just 500-600 acres and a couple old milk cows. But I'll put 4,000 against your deed. Hank, you'll bring it over to your office, Marshal.
Good. Have it there by noon.
You know, Matt, there's been horse races in Dodge lots of times, but never seen one like this. The whole town's betting, one way or the other.
Yeah, I know, Doc.
You're worried about Thatcher putting his ranch up on the race, aren't you?
He could lose it, Doc.
Mr. Dillon? Oh, hello, Doc.
Yeah, Chester.
Say, I was down at the bridge a few minutes back watching for Butler to take his horse across so I'd know which one he was running.
Well?
Ed Butler ain't putting in no cow pony, Mr. Dillon. He's running a thoroughbred.
Oh. So Thatcher's betting everything he has on this quarter horse of his to beat a cow pony, and now Butler is running a pure racing horse, a thoroughbred. Well, it's past 1. Let's get on over to the other side of the river.
Looks like half the Dodge is over here on the flats, Mr. Dillon.
See if you can find that Butler and Mr. Thatcher, Chester, and bring him over here.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Chester. Hello, Matt. I haven't seen this many people in one spot since Eddie Foy played the Opera House. Kind of a fiesta, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way, Kitty.
Oh, nobody would think it to look at you. Where's the finish line going to be, Matt? I want to see real good.
Back up there, about 50 yards.
Oh, I'll go find a place.
Okay, Kitty.
Matt. Say, Matt. Oh, here you are, Matt.
Hello, Doc.
Say, Matt. Thatcher's getting all liquored up.
Well, that's his affair, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's got a skinful. And you know how edgy he gets when he's that way.
Hey, Mr. Dillon, I found Mr. Butler.
Afternoon, Marshal.
Where's Thatcher?
Well, I wouldn't know. Last time I saw him, he was pouring down some red eye. So his losing won't hurt so bad, I guess.
Butler, Mr. Hightower, and Doc here are going to act as judges. Chester will fire the starting gun.
Marshal, this is all terrible fancy, just to butter up that old fool Thatcher, ain't it?
Yeah, you might think I'm old fool now, Butler, but you'll think different after the
You're
race.
drunk, Thatcher.
Stay out of this, Butler.
Any law say a man can't win a horse race if he's drunk?
Mr. Thatcher, your grandson's riding for you. Is he all set?
Yes, sir.
All right, how about you, Butler?
We're ready.
And get your horses down there to where those 2 buckboards are. That'll be the starting line.
You thought you'd fool me, didn't you, Butler? Bringing out that thoroughbred around me. Well, I can still beat you.
You're talking awful lot for a man who ain't worried.
Don't ride me, Butler. I've had enough.
Oh, listen to me, Thatcher.
All right, that's
Nobody...
enough out of both of you.
You just see to it you do win, Thatcher. Or I'll have your ranch and that colt you think so much of.
What did you say?
You heard me.
What did you say about my colt? What do you mean?
Just what I said. If my bay mare wins, I get your ranch and everything on it. And that includes your colt.
No, that ain't right.
Well, what about it, Marshal? You were there when we made the bet.
Butler's right, Mr. Thatcher. That's the way you made it.
You're no good, Butler. You're no good at all.
All right, both of you move your horses down to the starting line.
Hank? Yes, sir, Mr. Butler. Hank, move that bay down those markers. Okay.
Go on down, Mr. Thatcher.
Yes, sir. Ain't gonna fool me.
Chester, you walk with them, huh? Give them 5 minutes, and then you can start them off.
5 minutes. All right, sir.
Yeah, you see? I was right, wasn't I, man? Thatcher's been drinking some.
Yeah. Come on, Doc. We don't have much time. We'll look up Mr. Hightower.
Yeah. You know, Matt, this is like a holiday. It's like a fiesta.
Yeah, that's what Kitty said.
Oh, she's out there, too, huh? Yeah. Well, I guess maybe outside of Mr. Thatcher, the only person not enjoying himself is you.
Do I have to enjoy it, Doc? Hey, come on, Doc, run.
Mr. Dillon, it's Mr. Thatcher. He's been shot.
Here, let me through, will you, folks? Let me through. Let him just get down here and see. Now, just take it easy, Mr. Thatcher.
It's not much use, Doc. I know where it is.
Easy now. He's bad, man.
Mr. Thatcher.
No, I won't see him run.
Mr. Thatcher, listen to me.
I'll never see.
Chester?
Yes, sir.
What happened? You were with him.
Well, I don't know. I was walking along, and Thatcher and Butler was up ahead arguing, and then suddenly Thatcher drawed on Butler. He tried to kill him.
I shot him, Marshal.
It was self-defense.
He was drunk. He tried to kill me.
That's right, Marshal. What Ed says is right.
That's true. That's the way it happened, Mr. Dillon.
Doc, will you take care of things? Get him into a wagon and back into town. I'll see you back there.
Yeah, sure, that's it. Here, a couple of you men, give me a hand here. That's it. Let him through, will you?
Marshal, what about the race? It's forfeit, huh?
The race ain't forfeit. I'll still run it.
It's the Thatcher boy, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. Come here, son. Look, Lonnie, with what's happened, maybe we should put the race off, huh?
I'll agree to put it off.
We'll race now.
All right, if that's what you want.
It's what I want.
All right, then get on down to the starting line, both of you.
Hometowns in America have a lot in common, and yet they're each one of a kind. Take, for example, Huntington, West Virginia. It never was a big town as metropolitan cities go, but the largest in the state, unless you ask someone from Charleston. Just under 100,000 live in Huntington, chosen by Look magazine a few years back as an all-American city. And down on 9th Street, the Chamber of Commerce is still busy keeping it all-American. With Marshall, now a university, and the interstate highway coming through, Huntington still is very much all-American. Meanwhile, the downtown merchants are busy trying to keep downtown from moving to the suburbs. But out at Eastern Heights, the shopping center is flourishing. People are still taking summer afternoon drives through Ritter Park, out to the galleries to see Herman Dean's gun collection. There's a new Kroger's up on Route 60, and more talk about where to put the new bridge over the Ohio. But if your hometown is Huntington, you already know this. We only wanted to remind you, it's still there.
For you, Marshal. Are we going to have the race?
Yeah.
That's a good thing, you know. There'd be a lot of people disappointed if it didn't come off.
And we wouldn't want that, would we, Mr. Hightower?
How's that?
Well, the killing's hardly enough to make the day complete, is it?
Well, now, Marshal, I didn't mean anything wrong. It's just...
Yeah, sure, forget it. You move on up the finish line, and I'll get a couple of these riders to clear the lane. Huh?
All right.
Hey, you there.
Yeah.
Will you ride down toward the start and move everybody back to clear the lane?
Yeah, sure thing.
All right. All right, everybody. Would you get back, please? Clear the lane. Move back, will you?
It's time, Marshal.
Yeah.
Well, what's Chester waiting for?
Looks like that colt's acting up.
I've never seen two different breeds of horses run against each other.
That colt's sure kicking up a storm.
Make a good column for the paper, maybe.
Get a hold of him, kid.
Don't they make a good column, Marshal? I guess there was no question about it, Matt.
I was the colt by half a length.
A quarter horse beat a thoroughbred. Now that's something to see.
Well, Marshal, you should be happy.
Because the boy won? Yeah, for that I'm happy.
Yeah, I got no complaint, Marshal. It was fair and square.
Uh-huh.
About what happened this afternoon, about Thatcher. I didn't really hold anything against the old man. I'm sorry it happened.
You know, Butler, I told you sometime that you'd push him too far. Now he's dead.
Well, look, Marshal.
I'm not saying you're a murderer, Butler, but you're responsible for the death of that man today, and yet there's nothing I can do about it.
Sound like you're blaming me for everything.
Oh, it's not you, I guess. It's just people. Good day, Mr. Butler. Hey, boy, you better get to walking that horse.
Yes, sir.
Lonnie, I got $4,000 for you here. You want to take it, or shall I give it to Mr. Bodkin at the bank?
I'll take it.
Might be better to leave it in the bank.
I said I'll take it.
All right, son. Here you are.
Thank you.
You, got any plans?
Yes, sir.
What?
I'm going to do what my granddaddy always wanted to do. I'm going to raise horses like this stud colt. I'm going to breed them.
That's your granddaddy's place?
Yes, sir.
It's a kind of a big spread for a boy to handle alone, isn't it?
I'll manage. I got $4,000 to help me.
Yeah.
And you know something else, Marshal? When men in these parts get sense enough to be interested in new stock and want good mounts with a fine way of going, they can come buy their quarter horses from me, Lonnie Thatcher.
The boy's eyes were glistening as he turned and walked away, leading his stud colt home. Most of the crowd had left. They'd gone back into Dodge to rerun the race over a drink or two and talk about this new kind of a horse. This stocky, heavy-muscled, quick as lightning quarter horse that had come to Dodge.
That old political character, Elijah Cuddlestone, was a fighter. The rougher the going, the harder he fought. And once when it looked pretty bad, here's what he had to say. It don't make me no never mind. I say, I don't care what the pollsters say. I am going to win at the polls. At the polls, I mean, I will have the last laugh. Now, I believe the final poll of the voters. I have never let the voters down, and I know they are with me now. Public opinion, poll, or no. He bandied that word poll around a bit, didn't he? You know, in Middle English, poll meant head. To be exact, the top of the head. That was the part seen uppermost above the crowd, and so used for a count of heads. A count of heads is how poll came to have its political meanings. A poll tax was a head tax. A poll of voters is a head count. During the campaign of 1948, President Harry S. Truman popularized pollster as a nickname for those who conduct public opinion polls, implying contempt and ridicule for their methods and results.
Gunsmoke. Produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. The music was composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Sound patterns were composed by Ray Kemper and Bill James. Featured in the cast were Parley Bear as Chester, Howard McNear as Doc, and Georgia Ellis as Kitty. George Walsh speaking. Join us again next week for another story of the western frontier of America in the 1870s on Gunsmoke. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Now, Post Toasties, the heat good cornflakes, is proud to present Gunsmoke.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers. And that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke.
Gunsmoke, the story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. It's easy to do your whole tribe a big favor, Mother. Just pour every big and little Indian in your camp a breakfast bowl full of Post Toasties. Post Toasties, you know, are the heat-good cornflakes. They're the best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it. Fresh as fresh can be. Say, Post Toasties are cracklin' crisp. Sweet kernel corn flavor, toasted. That's Post Toasties. Post Toasties are packed with nourishment, too. A bowl of Post Toasties with sugar and milk helps your big braves and little Indians start the day right. Get Post Toasties soon. And now, Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad.
fella here looking for you, Mr. Dillon.
Oh, hello. My name is Brandt, Marshal. I and my son got a ranch up in the South Fork of the Solomon.
Oh, what can I do for you, Mr. Brandt?
Well, I ain't no ways responsible, you understand. It's been kind of put on me, you might say.
Oh? What has?
Well, Marshal, the Indians started it. They was riding for horses just a couple of days ago. And they'd have got them, and probably me too, but for this kid they had along.
A kid?
Yeah, and he tried to come in ahead of the rest of the Indians, and he showed himself too soon as what happened. My son saw him in time to warn me, and we put up a standoff fight, and them Arapahoes didn't get a single horse.
Well, what's the trouble, then?
We got the kid. He's still there, wilder than a deer. He got shot in the leg a little. We brought him into the house after. I want to know what to do with him, Marshal.
Oh. Well, how old's the boy, Mr. Brandt?
Hard to say. I bet he's 12 or under.
That's pretty young to be on a raiding party.
Yeah, it sure is. But he's awful wild. He's tried to kill me twice already.
Well, then why don't you turn him over to a reservation somewhere? They'll take care of him.
Well, I can't do that, Marshal. They wouldn't have him.
Why not?
Well, he ain't an Indian. He's a white boy.
A white boy?
Sure acts like an Indian, though. I think he's been living with them Arapahoes a long time. That's what I think.
Well, I don't know what I can do about it, Mr. Brandt.
One thing is sure, Marshal. I can't keep him no more. And it don't seem right, for a white boy to go back living among them Arapahoes.
No.
So you got to come up there with me and do something about him.
But Mr. Brandt, I'm a U.S. Marshal. I'm hired to keep the peace, not to play nursemaid to orphans.
Yeah. You're the only man I've heard of around here that I thought might help that boy. Well, if you want, you want. I'll just run him off into the prairie, I guess.
All right. All right, Mr. Brandt. We'll ride back with you in the morning.
I don't see nobody around, Mr. Brandt.
No, my son will be out with the cattle this time of day. I told him to lock that kid in the potato cellar when he had to leave the house.
Is that it over there?
That's it. He'll be in there. Oh, there. Just open the door, Marshal. Maybe he'll come out.
All right. Chester, grab him if he runs, huh?
Yes, sir.
And watch out for him. He'll do anything, that kid. Here, kid. Come on out. Let's stand back now.
Well, look at him. You'd hardly know he was a white boy, Mr. Dillon.
Hello, son.
You've come to kill me, haven't you?
Oh, my goodness.
Nobody's going to kill you, son. We're here to help you, that's all. You look pretty weak to me. Is it that hole in your leg, or haven't they been feeding you?
He won't eat, Marshal. At least he wouldn't when I left. You been eating, kid?
No.
See what I mean?
It's easier to be tortured on an empty stomach.
Oh, now, son, nobody's going to torture you. Nobody's going to kill you. I'd just like to have a look at that leg where you got hit.
I'm all right.
Come on, let's go in the house and see for sure, huh?
No.
Well, he's fainted.
I got him.
Oh, the poor little kid.
Why haven't you done anything about this bullet in his leg, Brandt?
I tried, Marshal. He wouldn't let me near it. Tried to bite me.
Well, he can't fight now. Come on, show me where to put him. I carried the boy into the house, laid him out on a bed, and went to work. He came to in the middle of it, but he didn't move a muscle or utter a sound. The bullet wasn't buried very deep. I dug it out, cleaned the wound as best I could. When it was over, I got some strong tea down him, and then he went to sleep. A couple of hours later, I noticed he'd waked up, and I went over to the bed.
You fixed my leg.
Sure, of course I did.
Why?
Well, you might have died if I hadn't. A wound like that gets infected.
Arapahoes don't care if their prisoners die.
Well, you're not a prisoner here.
Yes, I am.
Look, what's your name, anyway?
Yorkie?
Well, is that all?
It's all I remember.
Is that what the Arapahoes told you?
Yes. They won't give me another name till I'm a brave.
Yorkie's a white man's name. Where are your parents?
Killed in a raid, they told me. I've been Arapaho ever since.
What was your father's name, do you know?
I was too young.
Well, then how come you remember English so well?
An old man of the tribe makes me talk every day. Don't know where he learned, but he says it'll come to use later when I'm a brave. In our wars against the white man.
You're a white man, Yorkie.
Yes, but I live with the Arapahoes.
Well, you did, but you're back among your own people now. You gotta learn to live a different life.
No.
Wait, you mean you want to go back with the Indians?
First, I have to make a big coup.
Make a big coup? What for?
I'll be killed if I don't.
What are you talking about?
I allowed myself to be seen and expose the raiding party. So I'll be killed if I don't make a coup and return with a scalp or some horses.
You? A kid like you?
Unless you kill me first.
Oh, Yorkie, if I was going to kill you, why did I take that bullet out of your leg?
I don't know.
Well, nobody's going to kill you. Now, you just get that out of your head. And you're not going to kill anybody either, or steal any horses, so forget about it.
If I make a big coup, my mistake on the raid will be forgiven. And I'll be the youngest brave in the whole tribe.
Well, we'll argue about that later. But what were you doing on this raid in the first place?
A white boy must prove himself many times. It's harder than for an Indian. That's why they let me come.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you've got quite a problem, haven't you, Yuki? But right now, why don't you go back to sleep for a while, huh? I'll have some soup for you when you wake up.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bryant.
Good morning, Chester. Marshal.
Good morning.
Your son left a few minutes ago. He said he wouldn't be back till evening.
Yeah, and I ought to be out with him.
We're all through, but I'll cook you some eggs.
Oh, just coffee for me.
All right, sir.
Well, what are you going to do about that kid, Marshal?
Well, there's not much I can do, Brant.
You can't leave him here.
Well, I didn't bring him here.
Here you are.
Marshal, I'm serious. Even if it was an ordinary kid, I got no way to raise him. And this one is bad. I told you, he's been after me twice already.
He needs a scalp to take back. It's a matter of life or death with him.
He ain't taking mine.
You really think he might kill somebody, Mr. Dillon?
Well, left alone, yes.
But he's so young.
Well, I heard Billy the Kid killed a man when he was 12. Age doesn't seem to matter much.
Well, can't you talk him out of it? Show him it's wrong?
Well, I've tried, but Yorkie thinks like an Indian. He doesn't know anything about the white man's world.
Yeah. How's he feeling this morning, anyway?
Well, I'd hoped his fever would be down, but it isn't.
He needs a doctor, that's what.
Yeah. By the way, Brant, is this one of your guns?
Where'd you get it?
Yorkie had it when I went in there this morning, but he was too weak to use it.
Well, I told you he's a bad one, Marshal. He'll kill someone yet.
All Yorkie understands right now is kill or be killed, Brant. If you got a wagon, we'll take him into Dodge.
Say, what goes on at your house at breakfast? Well, you can take it from me. The best thing that can go on your breakfast table is Post Toasties. Yes, sir, Post Toasties, the heat-good cornflakes. Those golden crisp cornflakes are the best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it. You know how to prove it? Well, just pour out breakfast bowlfuls of Post Toasties for your whole tribe. Then watch how they enjoy 'em. Post Toasties are crisp and tasty. From the first bite down to the last spoonful, that sweet kernel corn flavor makes your breakfast. So always ask for Post Toasties, the heap good cornflakes.
Post Toasties, heap good cornflakes. The best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it. Heap good cornflakes. Post Toasties, heap good cornflakes.
Remember, Post Toasties is one of the famous triple wrap Post cereals, guaranteed fresh or triple your money back. Now back to Gunsmoke.
On the drive into Dodge, Yorkie never moved or never said a word. I looked back at him from time to time and tried to put myself in his place. Here was a boy whose only experience of life had been with a warlike tribe of Indians, a tribe which he couldn't even go back to without a white man's scalp or some stolen horses. Now, this in itself would be a problem for a grown man. But little Yorkie also felt himself a prisoner, sooner or later to be killed. It was no wonder that during the next few days, as he lay on the couch in Doc's office, he watched us with wild, restless eyes. In spite of his obvious courage, I think he was a little frightened. And when Doc was suddenly called out on a case in the country for several days, I had an idea. And I sent Chester to find Kitty.
You want me to nurse him? Is that it, Matt?
Well, partly, but also I thought maybe you could talk to him a little. It's hard for him to trust a man.
I know. Chester told me about him.
Yeah, he'll be well enough pretty soon to get into trouble. Bad trouble.
I'll do what I can. Where is he, in the front room?
Yeah, on Doc's couch. And, Kitty, try to get him to eat something, huh? I haven't had much luck.
All right. But you stay here.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, Yorkie.
Who are you?
My name's Kitty. I'm going to take care of you.
Why?
Because you're sick. Wouldn't you take care of somebody who's sick?
Not an enemy.
We're not enemies, Yorkie. Even if we were, I'd take care of you.
Prisoners get well by themselves, or they die.
Not around me, they don't. Anyway, you're not a prisoner. You can leave any time you want to.
Is that the truth?
Of course it is. Unless you do something wrong, like killing or stealing. But let's not talk about all that. I want to know about you. All sorts of things. What it was like with the Arapahoes, or what you remember about when you were younger.
I won't tell any secrets.
I don't want to know any secrets, Yorkie. But maybe you can tell me. Well, did you have a mother in the tribe? Tell me about that.
I'm a white boy. They've never let me have a mother. Anyway, I was big enough I didn't need one.
Did you ever want one, Yorkie?
I don't know. I guess so, sometimes.
It's better to have a mother.
Mine was killed in a raid when they found me.
I know. Do you remember her at all?
No. Sometimes I think I do. Sometimes when I'm asleep, that is.
What do you remember about her, then?
I don't know. Just a feeling, I guess. Sort of like being warm. Is that what it's like?
Yeah. I think that's what it's like, Yorkie. Very much like that.
I'm hungry, Kitty. Would you let me have something to eat?
Of course I will, Yorkie. Of course I will.
Kitty spent as much time with Yorkie as she could manage. And whenever she'd been with him, he always seemed calmer and less frightened. And we began to have hopes that
maybe the boy would take to his new life after all. Chester and I were busy, and except for taking some food up now and then, we turned Yorkie's care over to Kitty completely.
When'll Doc be back, Mr. Dillon?
Oh, I forgot to tell you, Chester. He sent word he'd have to be out there another day. I guess Miss Taylor's been mighty sick.
You think maybe Yorkie could just live with Doc?
I don't know what to do with him, Chester.
We sure got to do something.
Yeah.
Where's Yorkie?
What? Well, he's upstairs, Kitty.
Have you been up there today? Have you seen him?
No, I thought you were with him.
I couldn't get here till now. Yorkie's gone, Matt.
What?
I'll go take a look.
I've already searched the place here and there.
Well, let's look in the street, Chester. Maybe somebody's seen him.
You better find him. That's all I can say.
Yeah, we'll find him, Kitty. Don't worry.
Maybe he's got hold of a gun.
I hope not. Anyway, if he's as smart as I think he is, he'll locate a horse to get away on first. Maybe a couple of them.
Doggone it. Just when I was beginning to think he was going to settle down a little.
You never know. But I still got faith in that kid somehow, Chester. Here, let's cross over to Moss Gremick's stable there, huh?
All right, sir. There's Moss now, just inside there.
Yeah. Moss?
Oh, Marshal, Chester.
Oh, Moss.
Yeah, I was going to come see you, Marshal.
Oh?
That kid you brought in the other day, I caught him trying to steal one of my horses.
You got Yorkie?
Is that his name?
Where is he, Moss?
Back here. He put up quite a fight for a sick boy, Marshal. A little wildcat. I had to tie him up finally. I throwed him in the saddle room there. He's sure a mean one. There he is, little devil. He'll hang yet.
Give me your knife, Chester.
Oh, don't untie him,
I'll
Marshal.
handle him, Moss.
Here you are, Mr. Dillon.
Yorkie, I'm sorry this happened. I'd have given you a horse if you'd have asked me. There.
I wasn't going to steal him.
And what was you doing riding him out of that stall, young fellow?
Wait a minute, Moss. Yorkie, you say you weren't going to steal him?
No.
What were you doing then?
Kitty didn't come, and I got lonely. I don't know.
Well, I think I do, Yorkie. You just wanted to be around something familiar, something you know. Isn't that right?
I guess so.
And you've lived with horses all your life. You know them pretty well. So you came over here.
I wasn't going to steal him. I just wanted to get on him.
You know, I half believe the boy, Marshal.
He's telling the truth, Moss.
Yorkie, I'm sorry I treated you rough. Why don't you tell me?
You were going to kill me.
Me? Kill anybody? A kid? Guess you don't know me very well.
What are you going to do with me now?
Well, Doc will be back tomorrow, Yorkie. If he says it's okay for you to stay up, well, you can. Meantime, Kitty will be there.
All right.
Tell you what, Yorkie, you get well, you come over here. I'll give you a horse to ride.
You will?
Sure, I got lots of horses. You can take your pick.
What if I steal them?
I've had horses stole before.
I don't understand you.
He trusts you, Yorkie. We all do.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't trust anybody.
Oh, maybe not, but we do anyway. Moss, I got an idea.
No?
I don't suppose you could use a stable boy around here, huh? Some kid who really knows horses and who's used to hard work.
Well, I don't have much money, Marshal. If I could feed him a little and maybe fix him in bed in the saddle room here.
Of course, a good boy's like a good horse. There's bound to be some hot blood in him.
Try to lift my hair, I'll whop him good. That clear, young fella?
You're talking about me?
Of course they're talking about you, Yorkie.
One thing, I can't hire nobody less than he has a whole name.
Well, Yorkie don't know his last name.
Well, call him anything. Kelly. Kelly, that's a good name.
Yorkie Kelly?
Grimmick and Kelly. Yeah, sounds all right to me. You people get out of here now. I got work to do. And when Doc says you're fitting Yorkie, you come back.
I'll be back, Moss.
In just a moment, we'll tell you about next week's adventure on Gunsmoke. Say, exciting things happen to breakfast when there's sugar crinkles at every place. Sure, new sugar crinkles make breakfast more fun than a circus. You know why? Sugar crinkles is the sugar rice treat that's just right sweet. Not too sweet, the way some sugar-coated cereals seem to be, and not like others that aren't sweet enough. Sugar crinkles, every golden crisp nugget of them, is just right sweet. So try starting your day off just right with new sugar crinkles. And don't forget, when you're listening to the radio or watching television, sugar crinkles make great snacks. From the bowl or from the pack, for your breakfast or a snack. Sugar crinkles are more fun than a circus. Try sugar crinkles soon. They're the sugar rice treat that's just right sweet. So better get several packages. Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was especially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were Richard Beals, Larry Dobkin, and John Daner. Parley Bear is Chester, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. Ken Peters speaking. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, spends some time on a road ranch during his fight to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Listen next week at this time when Gunsmoke will be brought to you by Sugar Crinkles, the sugar rice treat that's just right sweet.
Sanka Coffee and Instant Sanka, the two delicious coffees that let you sleep, bring you Sanka Salutes. And this is Win Elliott transcribed, saluting our people of the week, the everyday people who help make America an even nicer place in which to live. This is for all fathers listening in. Got a question for you, Dad. Suppose you got a hurry call from home saying that a certain stork, which had been hovering around your house for weeks, finally had started coming in for a landing. Can you imagine yourself stopping for anything? No? Well, then you pull up a chair, Dad, and hear all about a Navy vet named Charles Ewell. You see, this week, Charles was rushing home so he could get his wife to the hospital in time to have their very first child. But on the way, Charles saw a terrible thing. A woman had gone off a bridge. A woman was floundering in the freezing water of a New York City river. Well, Charles Ewell knew a thing or two about the horrors of people fighting death in the water. During the war, he'd rescued 2 drowning shipmates. And just a few years ago, he'd pulled a little girl out of the surf. Of course, now it was different. There was the stork. Charlie wavered, and then he made his decision. Into the water he dived. He reached the woman. He held her, and he saved her life. And then, of course, the hero dashed home. Well, fortunately, the stork had cooperated, and Daddy was able to greet his first son. And so tonight, Charles Ewell stands in a hospital corridor and looks proudly through a glass at a little boy. He certainly set him a real example of manhood. And so to Papa Ewell, a cooing, gurgling Sanka salute. And now hear the story of the men of the USS George E. Davis and a 9-year-old Italian war orphan named Maria Carmela Lavecchia. The Davis is an American destroyer escort, and about a year ago, the men aboard her decided to adopt Maria. They didn't know her. They'd never seen her.
but they knew what kids like Maria were going through, so they filled out the papers and collected money. Enough for schooling, enough for food, even for her very first doll. And then, some time ago, they decided to give her the finest gift of all, a trip to America, a chance to see a decent and happy world, a chance to be just a little girl. Well, she's here now, and she's having the time of her life with her 200 fathers. And so, in her name, to the wonderful young men of the George E. Davis, this very proud Sanka salute. In a moment, a story about a lonely, forgotten hero. But first, say, what is it you look for most in a coffee? Is it a full-bodied flavor, or is it the ease of preparation you get from an instant coffee? Well, you know you get both of those great advantages, plus a third in instant Sanka coffee. That third advantage, instant Sanka, lets you sleep. Yes, the only coffee in the world that gives you all three advantages is the new instant Sanka coffee. Taste it made hot and black and good and strong, and you'll know right off it has the extra rich flavor you want. Instant Sanka is made instantly right in the cup, whether you're making 1 cup or a dozen, and it lets you sleep because 97% of the sleep-disturbing caffeine has been removed. Yes, drink Instant Sanka whenever you please, and it won't keep you awake. And now you can buy Instant Sanka in the big new economy size jar and save money. So drink Instant Sanka, the only coffee that combines extra rich flavor with instant ease and lets you sleep. Say, would you have done what Mr. Orville Ratliff did down in Louisville this week, and when it was all over, would you feel the way he does? Well, Mr. Ratliff was a bystander when a car crashed and the gas tank exploded. He didn't know the man inside the car. The whole thing wasn't his affair. But he went into those flames and he pulled out the man and he saved his life. The result, Orville Ratliff went to the hospital severely burned in terrible pain. The other man, fortunately, was hardly hurt at all. And up to the middle of this week, at least, do you know how many visitors this hero has had? 0. Not one. He might be bitter, this brave but lonely man, but he isn't. He says when the pain allows him to talk, I'd do it again. How about somebody going in and singing Orville Ratliff for you and me, and say to him, for you and me, here, sir, is a Sanka salute. I'll be back next week when Sanka Coffee and Instant Sanka, both delicious and both caffeine-free, will again present Sanka salutes. In the meantime, this is Win Elliott suggesting you try Sanka. You'll love it, and you'll sleep.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. And the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful and a little lonely.
Nothing suits the lively pace of modern life better than Pepsi-Cola. Light, bracing, clean-tasting Pepsi. So think young, drink young. Say Pepsi, please, and get an extra carton of Pepsi-Cola.
So go ahead and pick the drink that lets you drink young as you think. Yes, get the right one, the modern light one. Now it's Pepsi for those who think young.
You're late.
Never mind. I'm here, ain't I?
Now, Tom, stop.
Well, don't you love me no more?
You're over an hour late. Paul will be back any minute now.
Oh, it's too bad. I left town as soon as I could. I sold that bay mare today, Melinda.
But I thought you were going to breed her.
I was offered too good a price for her. Close to $100. Got it in my pocket.
But you didn't need the money, did you?
I got to buy you a ring.
Oh, honey, the ring isn't important. We can get one later, when we're settled.
No. You're going to have a ring right off. You don't want people to think I'm too poor to buy you a ring now, do you?
It isn't that, Tom.
No, you just quit worrying. Everything's going to be all right. We are going to get married soon, ain't we?
I hope so, Tom. Listen. It's Paul. It's him. And Roy Talo.
You know, that Roy Talo follows him around like a shadow.
Well, he's Paul's right-hand man, Tom.
Yeah, I found that out the day Talo talked your pa into firing me.
Well, look who's come a-calling.
Linda, what's she doing here?
Tom came here to see me, Paul, not you.
And I give him credit for that much sense.
Are you telling me I can't call on Melinda when I want?
When I decide that, I'll show you, not tell you.
Now stop it, both of you. Paul, if you're going to act like this every time Tom comes out here, I'll meet him someplace else.
No, there's no need to fly off the handle. But I gotta wonder about a man who spends all his time courting.
Look, Mr. Miles, I know what you think of me, but I'm going to have my own ranch soon. And that's a whole lot better than taking wages from somebody else, if you ask me.
Your own ranch?
Why, sure, Mr. Miles. You're forgetting he owns 2-3 head of horses. I got 6 head, Talo, and they're as good as any around. Well, they may be the best horses in the whole world, but that don't hardly make no ranch.
He's got to start somewhere, hasn't he?
Yeah, he sure does, but I wish he was in Texas doing it. Come on, Talo. We got work to do.
Don't you mind him, Tom. You'll make out fine, a hard worker like you. Why, you...
No, Tom. That's all he wants is for you to start trouble here.
Me start trouble?
Forget about them. They're just mad because they know they can't do anything about us.
No, they can't, can they?
Come on. I'll make you some coffee.
All right. Fine.
Evening, Chester.
Hello, Miss Kitty.
Who are you staring at over there?
Tom Potter. Report that Taylor playing poker with Roy Talo.
Uh-huh.
You'd think he'd have better sense than that.
Why?
But Talo goaded him into that game. Talo's been having a big run of luck.
Well, a run of luck can always stop with the next hand, Chester.
Well, it ain't stopped yet. Looks like poor old Tom about to lose his shirt.
Tom's a nice boy. He just needs a little more growing up.
Yeah. Melinda Miles seemed willing to wait for him.
Oh, yeah. I heard he's been courting her.
Uh-oh. Looks like Tom didn't do so good. He's leaving the table. Hello there, Tom. Huh? Oh, Chester. Miss Kitty.
Have a drink, Tom?
No, thanks.
On the house?
No, thanks. It's getting late. I'm going to turn in. Didn't you do no good at all, Tom? No, I didn't, Chester. Now Talo will go and tell old man Miles and Melinda, too, that I lost all my money. I can just hear him.
Well, you can get back at Roy Taylor the next time.
That's right. I ain't worried about it, but right now I'm going to bed. Good night, Tom.
Good night, Tom. Well, at least he's a good loser.
Yeah, but it ain't going to help him with Melinda, and he knows it. It happened right in that alley, Mr. Dillon. Stock ought to be there by now.
You say Taylor won a lot of money at the Long Branch last night, huh?
Yes, sir, but he give most of it to Bill Pence and put in the safe there.
Any idea how much he kept on him?
Well, I was right there, but I didn't watch too close.
Well, about how much?
Well, man, a little over $100, I'd say. All right, man, let us through. Step aside. Give over, Alvin. Let us through.
Hello, Matt.
What do you think, Doc?
Well, there's nothing I can do for him. He's dead.
I'll go through his pockets, Doc. Chester said he had some money on him. He might have been robbed.
All right.
All right, you men. Taylor's dead. Nothing you can do, so let's move on.
Well, it's just a doggone shame when a man can't walk down Front Street at night without getting himself murdered.
Did you find anything, Doc?
There's no money on him now, Matt.
Robbed, huh? Murdered and robbed.
It looks that way.
Mr. Dillon, I hate to say this, but you know Tom Potter.
Sure. Why?
Well, sir, he lost his whole stake to Roy Taylor tonight.
There were other men in the game. They lost too, didn't they?
For sure, but there was already bad blood between Tom and Taylor.
Oh, Harry Miles' daughter, you mean?
Melinda, yes, sir.
Oh, Chester, Tom Potter isn't the kind of man to do this.
Well, now, it'll come up, Doc. You just wait and see.
Well, I'll find Tom and talk to him tomorrow, but right now we better go get a wagon.
A wagon? You mean you're going to take Taylor out to the ranch this time of night?
I think Harry Miles would appreciate it, Doc. He and Taylor were pretty good friends.
Miles ain't going to take this easy.
No.
I'll go get a wagon, Mr. Dillon.
A world of good listening is jam-packed into those new CBS Radio Network features heard throughout your listening week on this station, weekdays and weekends. A total of 43 times a week. Nuggets of information come to you as an exclusive network service in your area. Where you're listening now, the roster includes such 5-a-week favorites as David Schoenbrun's Your Man in Paris broadcast, Nancy Honchman's A Woman's Washington, Zachary Scott with Man and Wife, Douglas Edwards' Sidelights, Alan Jackson's Information Central, and Personal Story. In the week to come, comedian Orson Bean will tell his personal story in his own words. A story of laughs and tears, of hits and misses, by the world's greatest living authority on the life of Orson Bean. Tomorrow through Friday, enjoy over this station Orson Bean's Personal Story and the rest of the timely, informative CBS Radio Network features, now part of each day's listening right here.
By heaven, Marshal, I won't stand for this.
I'll find the killer sooner or later, Miles.
I want him now. We know who he is.
There's nothing can be done about it until morning.
Well, if I'd been in town, something would have been done tonight.
Maybe we done wrong bringing Roy's body out here.
No, I didn't mean that. I appreciate what you've done. Roy belongs out here.
Coffee's ready.
Yeah, my, that sure does smell good.
Chester, tell Melinda what you told me.
Oh, well, now that don't mean nothing.
Go ahead, Chester. She'll hear it anyway.
Tell me, Chester.
Well, my land, it ain't nothing really. Well, Tom lost every dollar he had on him tonight playing poker with Roy Taylor.
Oh.
And then waited for him in the alley and murdered him to get it back.
Now, Miles, nobody knows that.
I know it, and that's enough.
Chester.
Yes, Mom?
Were you in the game?
Well, no, but I kindly watched it.
What time did Tom leave the Long Branch?
It was about midnight, I think. He said he was going to bed.
And what time was Roy Taylor killed, Marshal?
About 1:30.
What are you driving at, Melinda?
It's an hour's ride from here to Dodge, isn't it?
That's right.
At 1 o'clock, Tom Potter and I were standing right out there by the big oak talking.
Now, look here, Melinda.
It's true, Pa, and I'll swear to it in court.
Marshal, I'll be riding into Dodge about noon tomorrow.
Don't you believe your own daughter?
We'll see.
Tom couldn't have a better alibi. But look, Miles, I'll question him first thing in the morning anyway.
I'll do my own questioning, Marshal, behind a 6-gun.
Now, you know better than that, Miles.
Roy Taylor was a good friend of mine, Marshal. Nobody's going to shoot him down like that and get by with it.
I'll find the man who did it.
Well, good. I'll be at your office at noon. I want to see him.
That's a mighty pretty ring, Mr. Jonas.
Just got it in not more than a week ago.
$100, you say?
Yeah. That's as low as I can go, Tom.
All right, I'll take it.
Oh, be right with you, Marshal.
Well, Marshal.
Morning, Tom.
Want me to put the ring in a box, Tom?
No, I'll take it as is. Here's your money.
Right. $100, thank you.
$100.
Something wrong, Marshal?
You went broke last night, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I see. I heard about Roy Taylor.
He was robbed of a little over $100, Tom.
You know where I was, Marshal?
Where?
Well, now, you probably won't believe me, so you go out and ask Melinda Miles. She'll tell you.
All right, Tom, but where did you get this money?
I sold 2 of my horses this morning for $110.
And who did you sell them to?
George Rand. But he left town with them an hour ago.
And he lives 75 miles north of here.
I sold them over at the stable, Marshal. Moss Grimmick was there.
Then you wouldn't mind walking over there with me, huh?
Oh, I should have. Oh, Mr. Jonas, don't say anything about this to anybody, will you? I want it to be a surprise.
Why, of course not, Tom.
Thanks. Let's go, Marshal.
Have any luck?
No, I'm afraid not, Chester. I haven't turned up anything.
And you're eliminating Tom altogether?
And I had to. Moss Grimmick was there when he sold those horses to George Rand. Tom's in the clear.
Well, I'm kind of glad to hear it. He's a good boy. You know, old man Miles sure can churn up a storm. Coming in here at noon today, expecting you to have the killer already locked up. You think he meant it when he said he'd kill Tom if he ever come courting Melinda again?
I'm afraid he did, Chester. Did you tell Tom about it?
Sure I did. For all the good it'll do. Oh, my heavens.
What is it?
Speak of the devil. Look yonder. He's with Melinda. They're coming in here.
Hello, Chester.
Oh, Melinda.
Marshal, we've been looking for you.
Oh, what's the trouble, Melinda?
Her pa, that's what's the trouble.
What's he done?
He came home and said he'd shoot Tom on sight if he came around the place again.
What are you doing in town?
She come to find me, Marshal. She's got an idea, and it's a good one, too.
Oh?
I thought it all out, Marshal, and there's only one way to settle this business.
And how's that?
Tom's innocent. Pa told me you're convinced of it yourself.
Well, I don't think any court would convict him.
Then you've got to arrest him and have him tried.
What?
It's the only way, Marshal.
He'll be found not guilty, and it'll put Pa to shame, and he'll have to leave us alone. You've got to do it, Marshal, right now.
You agree with all this, Tom?
Sure I do. Melinda's right. It's the only thing that'll work.
You'll do it, Marshal, won't you?
No, I can't do it.
But, Marshal...
I'm sorry, Melinda, but the law can't be used that way.
Then you won't help us?
I didn't say that. I've been doing some thinking. Maybe I'll come up with something, but... Meantime, you get back home, and Tom, you stay away from there. I don't want any more killings.
Come on, Melinda. I'll take you back to your horse.
You give up awful easy, don't you?
I didn't say I'd given up. Come on. Go on.
Marshal.
Bye, Melinda. Tom.
Chester.
Yes, sir?
I'm riding out of town for a couple of days.
What?
Keep an eye on things here, will you?
Well, yes, sir, but... By jing, this sure is a fine time for you to go horseback riding's all I can say.
I need the exercise.
Everybody likes good news. Since this is true, wouldn't expanded CBS News broadcasts find greater favor with the vast CBS radio listening audience if they simply omitted bad news? There's a pretty obvious answer to that one, and it goes like this. Of course not. Expanded CBS News has only one object: to present all the important global news swiftly and without bias. This takes more than just good intentions. It takes thousands upon thousands of miles of complex communications links, hundreds of skilled newsmen. There's that matter of experience, too, the kind of experience only years can create. In a sense, Expanded CBS News is a network within a network, a service acting around the clock to meet your need to know, to keep you informed of important events, no matter where they happen. For longer, stronger coverage of world happenings, it's Expanded CBS News on CBS Radio. You can depend on it.
No, Melinda, he ain't.
We gotta find the marshal, Chester.
What's the matter with you two? What are you riding up Front Street together for?
We decided to run away. I met Tom this afternoon near home.
But her pa saw us, and he's right on our trail.
He'll kill Tom. I know he will.
You're a darn fool, Tom. Mr. Dillon told you to keep away from her.
That don't help me now.
You've got to do something, Chester.
Well, now, all right. Get on inside the office, both of you. I'll lock you up and stand guard. He'll have to go through me first.
Oh, thank you. Come on, Tom.
Yeah, now, wait. I don't rightly admire being shot like a rat in a trap.
Well, I don't see you standing out in the open and facing him.
Well, that's unfair.
Well, I didn't say it was easy.
Potter.
Now it's too late.
You stand right where you are, boy.
Pa, please.
Linda, I warned you what had happened.
You can't.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Miles. Ain't going to be no killing around here.
I don't aim to kill him here. I'm going to take him out on the prairie. Give him an even chance with me.
No, you ain't. I ain't even going to let you do that.
You can't very well stop me, Chester.
Oh, Mr. Dillon.
What's going on here?
Nothing you're going to stop, Marshal.
He's about to kill Tom, Marshal.
He's not going to kill anybody. Come here, Tom. I took a ride up to George Rand's.
What?
He told me to give you this.
Why?
He wanted to be sure you got your money.
Well, no, it isn't mine. He doesn't owe me a thing.
Yes, he does. $110. He said he'd pay you in a couple of weeks. You remember? Here it is.
He paid me, blast you.
What is all this, Marshal?
I remember Moss Grimmick saying he didn't actually see any money changing hands that day.
I'll be darned.
Melinda, you got word into Tom about the alibi you'd set up for him, didn't you? Well, didn't you?
Yes. The cook's helper. I woke him up and made him ride into town with a note before dawn.
Melinda.
Miles, I expect it was Tom who shot Roy Taylor after all.
I knew it. I knew it all along.
You know too much, you old... No, you don't, Tom. Give me that gun.
All right, Chester. Take him in and lock him up.
Yes, sir. Come on, Tom.
Why, he was going to shoot me.
You can be thankful he didn't, Miles. Melinda's going to be needing you now more than ever.
You're right, Marshal. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Pa.
Come on, Melinda. It's time we went home.
Hi, this is Dennis James to make a point about reliable, effective Kellogg's All Brand. Repeat after me, please. What do you want when you need brand?
What do you want when you need brand?
Reliability.
Reliability.
Now, what do you get in Kellogg's All Brand?
What do you get in Kellogg's All Brand? Reliability.
Right. You see, Kellogg's All Brand is the reliable brand that millions depend on for the effectiveness they want. It's the real Battle Creek formula that brings you more brand bulk in every serving.
more of the Vital brand bulk that helps you keep regular. Kellogg's All Bran is also low in calories and mighty pleasant tasting. You can trust Kellogg's for that. The crisp toasted shreds have the kind of good bran muffin flavor that most folks are partial to. So next time you are shopping, get Kellogg's All Bran, and you'll get reliability.
That's what you get in Kellogg's All Bran. Reliability.
Gunsmoke. Produced and directed in Hollywood by Norman Macdonald. Stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. The story was specially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston and adapted for radio by Frank Paris. Featured in the cast were Ann Whitfield, Sam Edwards, John Daner, and Vic Perrin. Harley Bear is Chester, Howard McNear is Doc, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. This is George Walsh, inviting you to join us again next week when CBS Radio presents another story on Gunsmoke.
This is the CBS Radio.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with the U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, the story of the violence that moved west with young America, the story of a man who moved with it, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. Ladies and gentlemen, later on tonight's program, you'll hear a special message from the Honorable Edward F. Arnn, Governor of the state of Kansas. But now we bring you the first act of Gunsmoke.
I'll swear it's going to be spring before we know it, Mr. Dillon.
This weather won't hold, Chester. We always got a rip snorter after a spell like this.
It sure don't look much like it today. I even heard a meadowlark this morning.
It's early for meadowlarks, isn't it?
Yes, sir, that's what I'm telling you. Spring is downright staring us in the face. Well, the Texas Trail's kind of lively for this time of the afternoon.
Well, it'll be livelier if you're right about spring and those trail herds start rolling in.
Well, look who's here. And in the daytime, too.
Well, howdy, Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty.
Isn't it wonderful out? And guess what, Matt? I heard a meadowlark this morning.
You and Chester.
Huh?
I've been telling him, Miss Kitty, spring is just around the corner.
Kitty?
Yeah.
How come there's such a crowd in here?
Oh, you mean the boys at the bar?
Yeah.
Well, it's some of the riders from the Cyclone Ranch. They're celebrating.
Well, it seems to me they were celebrating Saturday night. They're making kind of a long weekend out of it, aren't they?
Oh, Jim Polson said they all went back to the ranch Monday morning, but they got paid off.
What?
Yeah, the ranch was sold.
Sold? You mean old man Bartlett sold out? Well, I hadn't heard anything about it.
Well, that's what they said. The new owner had already taken over, some stranger. He's the one who paid him off. He brought his own riders with him.
Well, what's this stranger's name, Kitty?
Well, I don't know, Matt. Ed Revere over there was Bartlett's foreman. Ask him.
Yeah, I think I will. Excuse me.
I figured old man Bartlett would stay on.
Howdy, Marshal. Figure on throwing us in the hoosegow?
No, Ed, I wasn't planning on it. Do you happen to know where I can find old man Bartlett?
Well, afraid you're out of luck. Him and his wife's left the country. At least that's what the fellow that bought the ranch told us.
You mean he didn't even stay around to pay you all?
Nope. Made up his mind right sudden, I reckon. Guess this fella Jed Wade made him a mighty good offer.
Jed Wade, huh?
Yeah. Texas man, more than likely. Ain't from around here, anyways. None of his cowboys, neither.
Then you haven't seen old man Bartlett since you left the ranch and came into town Saturday morning, huh?
Mary hiding her hair.
And he didn't say anything last week about planning to sell?
No, it didn't. Sure can't figure old man Bartlett selling out. Said he put half his life into that place and planned on living out the rest of it right there.
Well, listen, Ed, let me ask you something.
Oh, yeah.
What do you figure about all this?
I don't know, Marshal. Except it ain't quite right somehow.
You don't think there's something crooked about it, do you?
Marshal, I don't know what to think. But it just ain't like Bartlett to run out this way. If there's anything I can do...
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ed.
Marshal, I don't even have to look it up in the records. There's been no deed of sale on the Cyclone Ranch filed in this office. If there had, I'd know about it.
Yeah, well, all right, thanks. That's all I wanted to know.
Furthermore, there won't be one filed. Old man Bartlett will live out his life and die right there. You take it from me.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured.
Mr. Dillon?
Oh, come on in, Chester.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mifflin.
Oh, quite all right, sir. I believe our business is completed.
Yeah. What'd you find out, Chester?
I checked the depot and the stage lines, Mr. Dillon, and nobody in town hasn't seen neither one of them since last week.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right, Chester. I guess we better ride out to the ranch.
Looks like that new outfit brought some of their own cattle up from Texas, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. And they're wasting no time slapping a brand on them, either.
Want to take a look at them?
No. Let's ride on up to the house.
I sure can't figure it, Mr. Dillon. Working night and day to build up a good feeder ranch like this and then up and selling out without even thinking it over.
Well, I can't figure it either, Chester. All right.
Oh. My golly, it sure is a fine ranch.
We ain't hiring anybody. Better mount up and ride.
Are you Jed Wade?
Name's Dallas. I'm the range boss.
Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Mr. Wade here?
He's out in the barn. What do you want to see him about?
Well, suppose I take that up with him, huh?
And suppose you turn around and hightail it out of here. Whenever Jed's got business with the law, he'll come to you.
Now, look, mister.
You hadn't ought to talk to visitors that way.
Jed don't want strangers hanging around, Miss Wade. And he don't want you talking to strangers either. You better go on back in the house.
I guess I know better than you what my own son wants. I'm the only one that understands him. You come right on inside, gentlemen. Mr. Dillon, did you say that was the name?
Yes, ma'am, that's right. This is my partner, Chester Proudfoot.
How do, ma'am?
How do?
You fellas wait right there. I'll go get Jed.
I think we'll accept the lady's invitation. After you, ma'am.
Why, thank you, Mr. Dillon. My, surely does perk a body up to be having callers in her own house. Especially when you live so long from hand to mouth.
I understand that you're new here, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Yes, we were camped for 3 weeks down along the river. Nary a caller, just living in a wagon. Oh, do be seated, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Ain't this a real pretty place now? Why, when Jed and Dallas rode back to camp Sunday morning and said they just bought a real bargain, I couldn't dream they meant something like this. A body just can't figure why the owners would ever want to sell it and leave. Would you gentlemen care for some cold buttermilk?
No, thank you, ma'am. You didn't meet the owners yourself then, huh?
No. They're already gone when I came over. Oh, you mustn't mind Dallas, Mr. Dillon. He's really a good boy at heart. Him and Jed just picked up a habit of talking mean like that sometimes, and seems like people just don't understand it. Mr. Dillon, Jed ain't got himself into some kind of trouble again, has he?
Again, Mrs. Wade?
Well, it's like I said. People just don't understand Jed lots of times. It ain't easy to bring up a boy alone, and a body don't always know what's the right way to do and what's not. But Jed's real good-hearted down underneath. Once you understand him like I do, why, the way he even talks to me sometimes would make you think that he was... Well, son,
What did I tell you about mouthing off to strangers?
But I was
Go back and get in the kitchen.
Well, all right, son. You say so.
She's getting old, and it's been a hard trip up here. Dallas told me you was here, Marshal. What can I do for you? What do you want? I'd like to see your bill of sale for this ranch, Mr. Wade. What for? Well, I'll tell you after I see it. Are you trying to accuse me of something? Not if you got a bill of sale signed by old man Bartlett. Well? All right, Marshal. There you are. Take a look. Uh-huh. Satisfied now? Where did the Bartletts go, Mr. Wade? They said they was leaving the country, and that's all I know about it. Here, you want to give me back my bill of sale now? Well, I'd like to take it into town and check the signature, if you don't mind. Go ahead. It'll check. And then you got nothing to worry about, have you? Nary thing, Marshal. Now, I don't know what's on your mind, but you're barking up wrong tree.
If you ask me, Mr. Dillon, I'd say that Wade and his partner are ornery enough for anything. Just plumb cussed, downright sneaking mean.
Maybe so, Chester. But you can't jail a man for meanness, not as long as it only comes out in words.
I suppose. There ought to be a law of some kind. Now, take like the way he talks to his mama. I don't see how she can put up with it.
She's his mother, Chester.
Well, I know that, but there's
hello, Matt.
Oh, how you, Doc?
Just getting ready to close up the office. How about feeding with me?
Later, maybe, Doc. Say, Doc, you still got that bill of sale on that horse you bought last fall from old man Bartlett?
Oh, sure, I guess so, Matt. Why?
Well, I just want to check Bartlett's signature.
Why, what do you got there? I know his signature pretty well. Let me take a look at that now, man.
Oh, here. See what you think, huh?
Oh, yes. That's old man Bartlett's scrawl, all right, of course it is.
Well, maybe I was wrong.
Yes, sir. It looks that way, Mr. Dillon.
But only about the bill of sale, Chester. We still don't know what happened to the Bartletts.
At this time, it is with great pride that Gunsmoke is able to bring you a specially recorded message by the Honorable Edward F. Arnn, Governor of the state of Kansas. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Arnn.
It's a real pleasure for me on behalf of Kansans everywhere to congratulate the CBS Radio Network, the writers, producers, directors, actors, and technicians on the splendid job you are doing with Gunsmoke. Here is real adult Western drama, without the usual horse opera cliches portraying an era and community of Kansas that graphically marked the formative years of our great state. Let me point out, however, the Dodge City of today is a far cry from the Dodge City so vividly brought to life in Gunsmoke. From those early pioneer and frontier days, Dodge City has developed into one of the fine cities of our state, industrially, agriculturally, and historically. The folks of Dodge City, and indeed all the people of this great sunflower state, thank you for a good job well done.
Thank you, Governor Arnn. And now the second act of Gunsmoke.
Big crowd in town tonight, Mr. Dillon. In here, too. Must be the feel of spring in the air. Get the man on the prod, makes him feel good.
Not me, Chester.
Yes, sir, I've been noticing that. You haven't said 1 dozen words in the last hour. It don't do a man any good to stay down in the dumps that way.
Oh, drink your beer.
Well, now, we just made a mistake, that's all. Got the wind up over nothing.
Now we know it's old man Bartlett's signature, but I just can't help feeling that we haven't made a mistake.
Well, maybe you ought to make one, Matt.
Oh, hi, Kitty.
Everybody ought to make a mistake once in a while. Keeps them from getting old.
Or else helps them along.
What's your trouble, Matt?
Oh, feeling that somebody's guilty of not being able to prove it.
It's that Cyclone Ranch business, Miss Kitty.
Now, I know Bartlett didn't sell out.
His signature is on that bill of sale, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, but a man can be made to sign something, Chester.
Well, why don't you find Mr. Bartlett and ask him?
Well, I'd settle for just finding him. I don't think I'd need to do any more asking.
Do you mean that the way it sounds, Matt?
Yeah. I know I'm jumping at conclusions, but the way things add up, it's the only answer that makes any sense.
Well, I hope you're wrong, Matt.
Well, so do I, but I don't think I am.
Anyway, there's not much you can do about it right now. Why don't you forget it for a while? How about a round of drinks, Matt, in honor of spring?
Spring, huh? You and Chester.
Well, it is, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, even the coyotes feel it. Did you hear him just after dark tonight yapping down along the river bottom?
Yeah, I heard him. Kitty, would you mind if we had that drink later?
Well, all right. But where are you going?
Well, I just thought that Chester and I might take a little ride, that's all. Hold up a minute, Chester.
Yes. Be all right to roll a cigarette, Mr. Dillon?
No, you better not. We're too close to the Bartlett place.
Miss Kitty sure was right about those coyotes. Every one of them and his brothers out tonight, all yapping their fool heads off.
Yeah.
You suppose those coyotes really know it's spring coming, Mr. Dillon?
It could be.
They're sure scattered all over the countryside.
There seems to be more of them off there toward the river bottom, though.
Yes, sir. I believe you're right, Mr. Dillon. Wonder why.
I don't know. Might be worthwhile taking a look.
Yes, sir.
You know, it sounds to me like most of those coyotes are up around those river bluffs there by the bend.
Yes, Mr. Dillon, I believe it does at that.
Come on, Chester, let's ride over that way. They're on the other side of that willow thicket.
All right.
Now, let's cut through the thicket here.
Yeah. They must be awful interested in something, or they sure wouldn't let us get this close.
Well, I guess they heard you, Chester. I think most of them are over there at the foot of the bank. take a look. Come on.
Chunk of the bank's caved off there, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. Yeah, but the coyotes didn't do it. They've been trying to dig something up, not bury it. I wish there was more moonlight.
Yes, sir. Well, if you'd have told me what we were up to, I could have brought a lantern.
Well, I didn't know we were going to run into anything, Chester.
Yes, sir.
See if you can find a stick and let's scratch around in this loose dirt, huh?
All right, sir. Anybody had tried to tell me this morning that I'd be out here in the middle of the night digging in that dirt like a groundhog, not even knowing what the Sam Hill I was...
What is it, Chester? Did you find something?
Yes, sir. I sure have.
Here, let me see.
Mighty lucky hunch you had, Mr. Dillon.
Well, now we know why nobody saw the Bartletts leave town.
They killed him. They killed both of them.
Yeah. After they made him sign that bill of sale. Hit the dirt, Chester. They came from the edge of the bank up there. Watch for the next flash. Is that you, Wade?
Just to the left of that sumac, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, I saw it. You're under arrest for murder, Wade. Now throw down that gun and come out of there with your hands up. All right, Chester, let's open up on him. Careful, Chester. He may be faking it.
Yes, sir. Only one thing, Mr. Dillon. It's not Wade. It's Dallas.
Then let's go find Wade.
Ranch is dark. Looks like they're all in bed.
It may be easier that way.
Yes, sir.
I wish there was some way of keeping his mother out of it. I don't see how it can be.
Dallas? Is that you? Did you scare the coyotes away? I heard the shooting and I...
It's not Dallas, ma'am.
Why, it's the marshal and Mr. Frogfoot. At this time of night. Well, this is quite a surprise.
Yes, ma'am, I reckon so. Is Jed here?
Well, I guess so. Maybe he's out in the barn or somewhere. What's wrong, Mr. Dillon? I sure do hope Jed ain't in some kind of trouble.
I just want to talk to him, Miss Wade. Now, why don't you go on back in the house, huh? And we'll see if we can find him.
Well, all right, if you think best. You just go straight on back through the barn. I reckon you'll find him all right.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I know. Keep yourself covered.
I will. Sounds like he's working back there.
Yeah.
Bartlett put up enough prairie hay here to last for 3 years.
Right on back, Dallas. Just about got these here running irons finished.
Dallas won't be needing any running irons, Wade, or anything else. He's dead. We found where you buried the Bartletts.
That's where that shooting was. You and Dallas.
You're under arrest for murder, Wade. And if you make a move, you're going to end up the same way Dallas did. How could I do anything, Marshal? I got no gun. I noticed it hanging on the wall there behind you. You leave it there.
Sure.
Now lay down that hammer and stick out your wrist.
Sure. Anything you say.
Smash the lantern, Mr. Dillon.
Well, watch it, Chester. He'll have his gun now.
That's right, Dillon.
Get back, Chester. Get back toward the door.
I can't see a thing in all this smoke.
That haze is dry as powder. This burn's going to go up like a tinderbox. Wade, you haven't got a chance. Now come on out of there while you still can.
Why don't you come back here and get me?
You crazy fool. Come on out now.
The heat's getting awful bad, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, I know. Back toward the door, Chester. We're going to have to get out of here.
Let's go on. Cave it in.
Hold tight, Chester.
Even for a man like Wade, that's not a good way to die, Mr. Dillon.
Oh, no way is when you come right down to it, Chester.
Ted! My son Ted! He's in there already. He's there in all that fire.
I'm sorry, ma'am,
You
but...
got to do something. You got to go get him out of there.
No, I'm afraid there's no use, ma'am.
Go in there myself.
No, it's too late to help me.
I always knowed it was going to end like this sometime. I always knowed it.
I'm sorry, Miss Wade.